All right, guys, today we got a special guest in the house, man. He been through a lot in his life, but his art definitely speaks for itself. He doing positive things in the community, a brother from the nation. I'm talking about the one and only Blame FX. What's good with you, bro? How you doing today, man?
I'm feeling grateful, very grateful, my brother. Thank you.
Oh, man, I'm happy to have you here today. So you're familiar with the platform, right?
Right.
Right, okay. So I like to start at the beginning so we can get the whole story and help people understand who you are. So where were you born?
Okay. I was born right here in Yonkers, New York. Yonkers native since the beginning, born and raised.
And did you grow up with any siblings?
Yeah, I actually got a ton of siblings, some of my father's side, some of my mother's side. You know, shout out to both of them.
You grew up like in the middle or like the youngest or oldest?
I'm actually the youngest out of all my siblings, you know what I mean? So
wow. So the youngest.
Very independent, yeah.
What did your parents do for work?
What was that?
What did your parents do for work while you were growing up?
Well, I didn't really grow up with my pops like that. He came in later on in my life, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe when I was maybe like 13, 14 years old, early teens. My mom, she worked like whatever she could get her hands on. So I remember her working in a factory. My bad, she was working in a factory, you know what I'm saying, when we was younger. She worked in a health clinic, you know, like a neighborhood health clinic for a bunch of years. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Nothing special about my upbringing.
Can you turn it up a little bit? Because it's cutting off your head a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Good?
Yeah. So your mom was working like just all sorts of jobs and your dad wasn't really around until you became a teenager.
Fact. So, you know, my mom, she held it down until my pops came in every now. He made cameos. He was never really involved in anything we had going on. You know what I'm saying? He was battling his own demons, going through whatever he was going through. So, you know, my mom held it down. My mom was pretty much my mother and my father growing up. You feel me?
So did you ever, at a young age, were you asking your mom, like, yo, where's my dad at and stuff? Or
certain times, like, I would hear stories about my father. Like, my father was crazy. Like, anything I heard about my pops was always involving like a knife or something. You know what I mean? Like, yo, he went to stab somebody up the block and, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. I never heard anything, you know what I'm saying, like anything significant that really stuck with me, that, you know, helped mold me, anything like that. Because, you know, so I had a lot of men in my life. Like, I had my older brother, I had all my uncles. I got a big family, you know what I'm saying? So what my father didn't do in my life, my uncles made up for. My older brother, you know what I'm saying, my older cousins made up for. You know what I'm saying? So I learned a lot from them.
So you had other strong male role models in your life when your dad wasn't around at that time?
Absolutely. Particularly my Uncle AZ raised me. You know what I'm saying? This is my mother's little brother. You know what I mean? So he was like the OG of my block. You know what I mean? Like, with the projects we came from, my Uncle AZ was the man out there. You know what I mean? So, you know, he had the crack spot right here where my mother lived at. Everybody worked for him. Everybody was jealous of him. He was the first one on the block with a drop-top Beamer. The 17s when they first came out. You know what I mean? So my uncle raised me. You know what I'm saying? I come from a lineage of gangsters. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in my family, in more ways than others, was involved in the street life. You know what I mean? And that's how I was raised, basically.
So then not only is your uncle and other members, but your father was in the street life too?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my father was, I don't know if you ever heard of the Yankees, but my father was a Yankee growing up. Like, he was like deeply involved in the gang lifestyle himself. So, you know, he was going through whatever he was going through. You know, I don't blame him, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we didn't need him. You know what I mean? I want to make that like crystal clear. Like, my mom and the family that I had on my mother's side really, really, you know what I'm saying, molded me into the young man that I am now. You know what I'm saying? So.
But you didn't feel any form of resentment growing up, though, that he wasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. There was times where I'd be like, yo, how come he chose to be more with my siblings from my father's side? I used to be like, yo, how come he chose more to be with them and not with us? Like, what was it about them that he chose to be more with them than with us? You know what I'm saying? And even my siblings from my father's side will be like, nigga, you ain't missed out on nothing. Excuse me, you know what I'm saying? So they're like, nigga, you ain't missed out on shit.
So it was something that you kind of like had to like process over time and like really get to understand.
Well, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, as I got older and I got more, you know what I'm saying, entrenched in the street life and in gang life, I really didn't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, whether that nigga was here or not, I really don't care, you know what I'm saying? Because I had my moms, you know what I'm saying? And oftentimes I blame my mom for a lot of shit, but looking back on my mother's, you know what I'm saying, journey, we got this family that came from Puerto Rico that moved to New York City with nothing, you know what I'm saying? She didn't have no real formal education, you know what I'm saying? At best, she had like a basic education. We was living on the edge of the poverty line, you know what I mean? And she still had food in our mouth. She was 5 kids, you know what I'm saying? So I got three sisters and a brother from my mother's side. So coming where she came from, you know what I'm saying, from Puerto Rico not having shit, to New York not having shit, you know what I mean? So, you know, like I said, living on the edge of the poverty line, she was able to provide a home. We always had a roof over our heads. We always had clothes on our back, and we always had food in our mouths. That's something to celebrate.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
success.
But before I you know what I mean? Before I used to like, wow, I didn't have the Jordans. Why I didn't have the Averexes? Why I didn't have this? But what I did have and what my mother was able to provide was unbelievable. For the deck of cards that was dealt to her, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think that a lot of times we as minorities don't always understand the difficulty of leaving your home, right? Your home country or where you were born, having to come to a new place, having to learn the language, make something of ourselves in that way. And I think that, you know, as children of our parents, sometimes we can be critical of them growing up until you start to really become, you know, a man, a person of understanding of like what they really had to go through in order to even provide that life for you.
Absolutely. Well, there's another crazy fact about my mom's side of the family. My mother is one out of 16 kids.
Wow.
So she had 7 sisters and 8 brothers. It was 8 boys and 8 girls.
Same parents?
You know what I'm saying? Same parents.
Wow.
That's crazy. There wasn't no TVs back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's crazy. I come from a big family.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what I went without with my father, like whatever my father wasn't able to do for me, my uncles did for me, and my older cousins and my brothers that I looked up to. Like the main people I looked up, the main male figures I looked up to in my life was my brother Luisito, my uncle Az, my uncle Rob, my uncles. You know what I'm saying? That were like younger. You know what I mean? That was, you know what I'm saying, in the street, holding shit down, especially in my neighborhood. You know, my family was very popular because it was a lot of us. You know what I'm saying? So we was like one of the only Spanish families in the project that everybody had love for us. There was some few haters here now and then when my uncle had to knock a few niggas out every now and then. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, even me, you know what I'm saying, getting it on in the neighborhood and all that growing pains, like, you know, regular shit that we go through, you know what I mean? But for the most part, everybody had love for us.
So you said your family is Puerto Rican, right? Full Puerto Rican on both sides?
Full Puerto Rican. Yeah, on both sides.
What was that like? Because you're coming up in the 80s, right? You're born in the 80s, but you're really coming up in the 90s, right? Explain what is that like, Puerto Rican kid growing up in New York at that time?
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Like the 90s for me, you know, the culture, hip hop culture, you know what I mean? Like graffiti, MCing. I grew up around a lot of Zulu Nation members. You know what I'm saying? Like my best friend, Shamali, my man Meth, he's like a brother to me. You know what I'm saying? He's the one who introduced me to like graffitiing and all that. We'll get into that later, but he was Zulu Nation. All the guys that I hung out with, a lot of the guys that I hung out with before I became a Latin King were all Zulu Nation members. And you know what that's like, MCing, breakdancing, graffitiing, like that whole hip hop culture. The 90s was incredible, man. It was incredible. It
so
was
you
like
grew up really immersed in the culture.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I tried it all. I dipped my fingers in DJing. I ain't had no dance moves. I only two-step. So I stood away from the breakdancing. But I tried my hand at MCing, you know what I'm saying, rapping. Me and my man from junior high school, we tried to come up with little raps and beats and, you know, like recording instrumentals and trying to do songs and stuff like that. I dabbled in all of it. But eventually, you know what I mean? I feel like my aggression and like the street life, like really the violence in it, like the I don't know how to explain it. It's like that shit took over me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like putting in that work, that shit took over me. Like
right.
That rush. You know what I'm saying?
So why didn't you stick with rapping though? Like did you feel like it didn't speak to you enough, or?
I loved it. Yo, my man Gotti, like he was a beast. Like back in the days when we was growing up, and my man Zakar, my man Ziggy, their brothers Ziggy and Gotti, you know, they were nasty. They were like the nicest guys in my neighborhood back then. And my man Ray's and my other man Wallace, rest in peace, Ray's his brother. You know what I mean? They were like them guys back then, you know, as far as rapping and shit. I always wanted to like emulate what they were doing, but I feel like I was more of an artist than a rapper. You know what I mean? Like I feel like my pencil game and my lettering game was taking off faster than my lyrical game. You know what I'm saying? Like even though I did write a few rhymes and shit, I feel like for the time we're hot. You know what I mean? And some of my guys were like, "Yo, you put that shit together." You know what I mean? Like praising me for it, but I feel like my pencil game took off faster, more than that.
The way that you perceived art was different though, like because you know you're from the more artistic side of like drawing and everything compared to like the writing of the rhymes, right?
Yeah, so you know, everybody in my neighborhood did graffiti, bro. Like back in the days, my neighborhood was flooded with graffiti and hand styles. So when I used to come out of my house, that's the only shit I seen. And then you know, connected with my right hand man, my son Matt, my son Shamali. You know what I mean? Like all he did was do graffiti. So every time he had a black book with him, you know what I mean? He had markers, colored pencils, the whole shit. So we sit there drawing in books all day long. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So how would you describe yourself as a child then? Because you said that you were really into hip hop, but like, were you into school or into sports at all?
I wasn't ever really into sports like that. I never was. As a child, I think I was a good kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like my neighborhood, the way I grew up, it made me like find a darker side to myself if I was gonna survive in my neighborhood. You know what I mean? And I knew that from an early age, maybe like 8, 9, 10 years old. I realized that if I don't defend myself, motherfuckers gonna keep trying to like bully me and pick on me. You know, so you gotta understand. In my projects back in the days, like, you know, I was a little kid, white boy with, you know, glasses. I'm an easy target. I stick out like a sore thumb. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I fought, sometimes I ran. You know, kid was bigger than me. I'll take flight. You know, 2 or 3 of them gang up on me. I take flight. But when I start catching them one by one, I'll like hit them with stick, rock, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you know how that shit is. Growing up in the hood, that's all part of growing pains. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, and my mother raised me very well. You know what I mean? Like she and my siblings, you know, we were all raised very well. You know, very respectful, with morals, all that good shit. You know what I mean? It's when I stepped out of my house, this is where I turned that switch on.
As soon as you left the porch, basically, you knew like certain ways that you had to move in order to make it.
I wasn't gonna be fucked with no more.
All right. Well, take us through this, right? Because you're in Yonkers in the 90s. You're walking down the street. What are you seeing as a kid? Is it like heavy crime at that time? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my uncle had a crack spot right in front of my house and my building. So yeah. So when you walk in my building, it's 2 apartments. I lived on the right. My uncle's crack spot was on the left.
So what age would you say that you saw crack for the first time then?
Oh, very early, very early. I remember one time, back in the 80s, crack used to come in these little glass vials with different colored tops.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So one day I was collecting all the little vials. There was so many of them in my neighborhood. Like my neighborhood was flooded with these little crack vials. So one day I was collecting them. I had like 20 of them in my hand. I didn't know what the fuck they were. You know what I mean? So, but they were empty vials. But imagine the residue that's that's attached to some of these vials, the germs, the bacteria that's attached to some of these vials, and they all packed up in my hand like this. But I don't know no better. I just see different colors, red, yellow, blue, green. You know what I'm saying? So as I'm walking up the block with a fucking handful of crack vials, hearing my brother come out the building like, yo, what the fuck is that in your hand? I'm like, look, all these little different bottles and shit, and nigga slap them shit out my hand. Like, get that shit the fuck out your hands, nigga. Don't ever let me see you touching none of them shit. So I was like, oh, shit. Like, I didn't know no better, you know what I'm saying?
How old are we talking?
Get inside and wash your hands. What was that?
How old are we talking at the time?
I want to say, like, maybe like 6, 7 years old, you know what I mean? Like,
wow.
Yeah. So, you know, I would come out my building, the niggas smoking crack right there, right in front of my building. Or right across the street, or, you know what I mean?
Did you know anyone personally that was addicted to crack?
Hell yeah. Like, I knew, like, people, like, it'll be my man's uncle. Like, I see that nigga smoking crack, but I'm so young, I don't even know what the fuck he's doing. Like, and a lot of times in my hood, niggas smoke woolies. Niggas would take, niggas take the weed and put the crack in there with the weed and smoke woolies. So niggas was smoking woolies, smoking crack like that out of crack pipes. Sometimes I walk into a project building, just going to see my friend. I live on the second floor in this building. My project was super big. You know what I mean? Like 69 buildings. But I used to navigate through all of that shit. So if I would be like 2 blocks down, going into some building to see my friend, I lived on the second floor and the third floor, I'd walk into somebody just smoking crack right there in the hallway. I would just walk right by them. That shit was normal to us. As crazy as that sounds, it was normal.
Right, because you're seeing something so frequently that it becomes normalized to you, right? It doesn't mean that it's really normal. That doesn't mean that's what you're supposed to be seeing, because I know you're a parent now, so you know what you were experiencing at such a young age, and if you try to put your child in that position, it's a trip, right? It's a trip to be like, damn, I can't believe that I was going through this at this age, and then my child's at this age, I can't even imagine them doing the same thing, you know? So,
but you know, like, my apologies, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Like, it's my mom, she was working so many hours that oftentimes we left the fend for ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Like, my sister or my mom would cook before she left the crib and was like, yo, look, listen, I left food in the olla. You know what I mean? So when y'all get home, just serve yourselves and handle your business. My mom worked to 8, 9 o'clock, sometimes 10 o'clock at night. I'm outside of the projects chilling, 6, 7, 8 years old, finding my way. You know what I'm saying?
It was like that. It was like that before, though. A lot more. You know? It's crazy.
Yeah, it was the life we lived. You know what I mean? My mom's had to work, single parent. Even though we had my stepfather, that nigga wasn't shit. He didn't give a fuck about what we was doing. You know what I mean?
So how would you say that affected you, witnessing all of the drugs and people using drugs around you as a young child?
I wouldn't say the people using drugs around me affected me, because I wasn't privy to the effects of drug use since I was so young. What affected me more was the isolation that I got from the kids around me for being Spanish. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was accepted by some kids, but for the most part, I was like rejected because I was Spanish.
Because you were growing up in Mulford Gardens, right? And Mulford is mainly black, right?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
So at that time, so at that time, you're saying that, because, you know, it's an interesting thing, right? Because, like, when you're growing up in New York, a lot of times people will say, oh, you know, the blacks in the Spanish state, they almost see each other as one and the same. But then you have other people that will say that there was tension there, though.
Yeah. I mean, oftentimes we got along, but oftentimes there was tension too. Like, you hear, like some black guys will be like, yo, fuck them Germans. Like, calling us Germans. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was like a normal saying back in the days. They used to call us Germans. You know what I mean? And we'd be like, fuck them. You know what I mean? Like, fuck them Morenos. You know what I mean? Like, It is, whatever. Like, the niggas could get it too. Like, whoever could get it, you know what I mean? But really, fuck them too. You know what I mean? So it was oftentimes, sometimes we got along, sometimes we bumped heads, you know what I mean?
But you're like one of the few families in the projects at that time, right? That is Spanish.
Yeah.
So what is that like then, growing up surrounded by hip hop, surrounded by all black people pretty much, and feeling like an outcast?
It was a strange dynamic. So, you know, even though I had some of my friends that lived in the project that I hung out with all the time, and then I had kids in the project that I never got along with, and then you had two different groups. You had the guys that hung out in the corner by the store, and then you had everybody that hung out in front of my building. You know what I'm saying? All my cousins, uncles, we'd be mad deep in front of my building. So oftentimes I didn't have to spray far from the front of my building. Right here, there was a park right on the corner. You know what I'm saying? And everybody that hung out on the corner knew me. And, oh, shit, Danny, what up, little Danny, what up? You know what I mean? Before I was blamed, before I was this person who transformed into this other person. You know what I'm saying? So everybody knew who I was. They knew my uncle. They knew my older brother. Everybody was cool with me. And a lot of them guys that used to hang out on the corner of my block, I still know them to this day. They're like family. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to be like them. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be fly. I wanted to have the Nikes. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to wear the Gore-Tex. I wanted to wear the Avirex. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to, my uncle come out in his drop top Beamer, iceberg down to the socks. I wanted to be like that. I wanted to be a hustler like him. My uncle was a fly nigga. He had all the bitches. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had the baddest little mommies. You know what I'm saying? He had all the clothes. He had the jewelry. You know what I mean? The 17-inch rims when they first came out. You know what I'm saying? So I looked at that like he was my idol. And to this day, we like tighter than two knots. That's like, he's like a father to me. You know what I mean?
You saw the respect that he was receiving and how nobody fucked with him too, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When I did my 10-year bid, when the feds came to get me, when I was on my bullshit, they really wanted him. You know what I'm saying? Right. They were like, we know what's going on. We just, in order for us to get him, we need you. And that shit was never going to happen. I won't tell him my worst enemy. You know what I'm saying? And every compound that I touched, I walked with my paperwork. I could walk anywhere with my chin up high. And my kids would be proud of the man I am. You know what I'm saying? I'll never got to look over my shoulder. If a nigga do something to me, it's got a straight envy. You know what I'm saying?
So at what age did you start getting into graffiti, and what was the main inspiration behind that?
So when I was like 10, 11 years old, we moved from the project to South Yonkers. This is where I got
was mainly Spanish.
Gang.
That was mainly Spanish there, right? So then I remember seeing that you said that was a culture shock for you because you were used to being around all black people.
Right. So
so what is like your immediate reaction? What is your immediate reaction when you're going through that?
Well, thus far, the only Spanish people that I was used to being around was my own family members. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so when I get to South Yonkers, everybody's Spanish. So it was like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Like the tables turned. There was only like in the project, there's mad black people and just a few Spanish people besides my own family. But in the South Side, everybody's Spanish and just a few black people. You know what I'm saying? So everything kind of shifted. You know what I mean? So when I got, like I said, when I got to South Yonkers, that's when I already had that mentality, like I'm in a new place. You know what I'm saying? I get to meet new people. I got the opportunity to start new. You know what I mean? So now I'm already battle tested by this point. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I want to be friends with everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be cordial with everybody. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just not about to be taken advantage of by nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really going to go down if somebody try me. You know what I'm saying? At this point, you know what I'm saying? Like, I already been through all my shit in my project, you know what I'm saying? So now when I move to this new neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? I'm just navigating, finding my way, trying to figure out who's who, you know what I'm saying? Trying to figure out who's cool, who's dangerous, who I could chill with, who to stay away from, you know what I mean? Who's good money and who.
And you're only 11.
Yeah.
You're only 11 at this time?
Yeah.
Wow.
11, 12 years old. So mentally, I was above me. I was way beyond my years. I always hung out with niggas older than me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I always
so
cautious.
They've been showing you the game already,
right? So I was always cautious on who to fuck with, who not to fuck with. Watching my uncle, you know what I'm saying? Watching my older brother, you know what I mean? Like watching their moves, you know what I'm saying? So basically emulating their moves, you know what I mean? Like be more on point, be hyper aware. So, you know.
So then how do you end up getting into graffiti at this time?
Like I started making friends around the new neighborhood and this new neighborhood, you know, South Yonkers. And one day my man Meth came around. I can't even remember if he was on a bike or he was on foot. And we met and we just clicked. You know, when you're young, you just click with a nigga you cool with. You just meet him that same day. Like, oh shit! Right. Then every day he's coming around. He lives right up the block from me. You know what I'm saying? So we're hanging out every day now, every single day. And I already was an artist. You know what I'm saying? I used to like draw like Marvel characters and shit like that. So I used to like drawing Marvel characters and sneakers. Like I would take one of my sneakers, put it on the table, and draw that shit. You know what I'm saying? So I used to like drawing shit like that. And once my man and my cousins used to do graffiti too. My cousin Poopy and Alex, they used to do graffiti. My brother Lucito used to do graffiti. He's the one he actually used to write Blame. And then when I started getting serious about graffiti, like around 12 years old, I started writing Blame number 2. But then since my brother wasn't really taking graffiti serious, I took the 2 out and just became Blame 1. But it was through my man Meth that I really went hard with the graffiti.
So you found that you had like a natural talent for it already.
Yeah, hell
like
yeah.
Once you started doing graffiti, it just came natural and easy to you.
Absolutely.
And then I saw something that you were saying that like now that you're living in South Yonkers, people are looking at you weird when you're hanging out with black dudes. Right?
Yeah, like sometimes like some of the guys from Zulu Nation was black. So some of the niggas on my block was like, yo, why you hanging out with them soft Zulu niggas, you know what I mean? Like some of the, you know, older guys, some of the Latin kings that was in my neighborhood, you know what I mean? I was like, yo, what you talking about? Like, my niggas like, fuck you talking about? Like, I was used to always hanging out with black and Spanish people. You know what I'm saying? But them niggas had it in their mind, like, yo, why you chilling with the Morenos for? Like, why you fucking with them? You know what I mean?
Right, right. So what age do you start getting into the streets and like really getting involved in that aspect of it?
Wow. Just being around, you know, niggas in my neighborhood, you know, like 12 years old. It's when like it really hit, like really on my, like when I turned 12 years old, I like really started, like before I hit 12 years old, I was always having fights in my neighborhood, fighting niggas my size, you know what I'm saying? Like for my age, I was always the biggest one out of my age group. So I'll be, you know, locking ass with niggas that's like 15, 16 years old. And I was whipping them out. They were like, yo, little 12, 13-year-old niggas over here whipping niggas out. So the older niggas in my neighborhood was like, yo, little niggas official, let's cuff them. You know what I mean? Like, shout out to my son David Benitez, Green Eyes, Villa, Dre. You know what I'm saying? Niggas from my neighborhood, Monk. You know, all the old school niggas from my neighborhood that saw that animal in me and was like, yo, we gonna cuff him. And they just showed me the ropes, you know what I mean? My man Soda, rest in peace. Oh, my God. So many I can mention. Trav, my right-hand man, Casper, that I used to run with. We turned Latin King together. We did everything together. You know what I'm saying? He stepped over my house. I stepped over his house. This was my heart in human form. Like this, if I could think of anybody that was as, like, if I had a twin and I could take that nigga and put him right here, it'll be him. You know what I'm saying? So we was just around the way doing missions, man. Just doing missions on mission time. Anybody could fucking get it at that time. You know what I mean? And we talking the mid-90s, this when the Bloods, the war with the Latin Kings and the Bloods spilled out from the prison system onto the streets, and shit was hectic. You know, niggas was getting caught on both sides.
Right. And we gonna get into that. We gonna get into that. But at this time, obviously, we're talking about anything that we're talking about is past the statute of limitations already, right?
Yeah.
But were you getting into like robberies or like you joined your uncle's business?
So before I joined my uncle's business. I wasn't really getting into robberies, but I used to break into cars all the time. Me and my man Cash used to break into cars, break into niggas' apartments. I remember my man Ray, my man Chong from my block from Wolf Street. So when I moved from Milford, from North Yonkers to South Yonkers, I hung out on my block was Van Cortlandt, Wolf Street, and Lawrence Street. Like everybody from Yonkers know about Lawrence Street. Like that's Lawrence Street and Elliott was like the two main streets on the south side where shit was happening at. You know what I mean? And I was on the Lawrence Street side. So I grew up with all the kids from Wolf Street and Lawrence Street. And like everybody knows that if you came from that little area, you was a bad little motherfucker or you was into some shit, basically. You know what I'm saying? In order to survive in my neighborhood, you had to show that animal tenacity. Or niggas was going to bully you all the time. You couldn't be outside. And I was outside every fucking day. You know what I'm saying? Like my mother's out there, I'm outside. I'm outside till 11, 12 o'clock at night every day. 12 years old, 13 years old, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm either on my block right here on Wall Street in the dead end or up the block on Lawrence Street, hanging out with them, doing dumb shit with them. Or like I used to, Wall Street or Lawrence Street, back and forth from both blocks, like on my bullshit. You know what I mean? Like whatever we was going to get into, I was getting into it.
So you was down for whatever at that time, pretty much.
If you wasn't, niggas was gonna stab you. You know what I'm saying? Like niggas was gonna be like, yo, bro.
But did your mom know what you were getting into at that time, or she was just in survival mode that she was just putting her head down and working and trying to make ends meet?
My mom knew 100% what I was getting into. My sisters was telling me like, yo, this Danny's outside doing this, doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't be controlled. My mother couldn't even control me. You know what I'm saying? Like I already had. She
tried to talk to you about it though?
Yeah, my mother used to fuck me up. My mother used to fuck me up. You crazy? I used to go sleep.
But that wasn't
my sister
enough.
lived on Lawrence. My sister lived on Lawrence. So I used to live a block away from my mother. Used to live a block away from my sister. So all the time I used to sleep over my sister's house. You know what I'm saying? So mommy will walk through the house. All right, say less. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to my sister's house. My sister's 10 years older than me. My older sister. So she already had her own apartment. You know what I mean? She lived in the south side too. You know what I mean? So I was outside catching wreck. I just go to my sister's house. My sister ain't know what the fuck was going on. You know what I'm saying? My sister's busy with her kids. She's just home chilling.
So at what point do you end up becoming a member of the Latin Kings?
So it's funny because there was Latin Kings on my block, but I went to school with a girl named Tammy. She was a queen. And when I got super cool with her, she was like a nigga. She was like one of them real thug bitches, you know what I'm saying? Like, bitches were scared of her, niggas were scared of her. She didn't talk to nobody, but I'm the only one she used to talk to. You know what I'm saying? I'm like the only nigga she was cool with. She was like, yo, Blaine, what's up? Come fuck with me. You know what I mean? And she more or less, she put me on, like, started teaching me the ropes. Like, yo, look, listen, this is the kingship. I wanted to teach you the kingship, blah, blah, blah. And then I was going back to my block with some of the Latin Kings on my block talking about it. And you know what I mean? I was always throwing up the crown. I wasn't even a king yet. But, you know, a lot of niggas on my block was like, yo, little nigga official, let's get him rocking with us. But when my bro Casper, rest in peace, came home from DFY, came back from placement, like we made it official. He came home already Latin King. So my man Sting was a Latin King, he was a big homie in my neighborhood. So we all just turned Latin King. We was like, fuck it. That's it. We locked in.
So how old are you?
I'm like 12 going on 13.
At 12 years old, you're already joining the Latin Kings at that time.
All in.
That's crazy. So what was the allure to you of joining the Latin Kings? Because a lot of times when people join the nation, they say it's like the knowledge behind that drives them to join. So what was it for you?
The drama.
So you like the drama?
Heavy. I loved it.
What do you think made you like the drama so much?
You know, every time I come out my house, niggas got bees on, niggas throwing crowns. It's the unity that they had, you know what I'm saying? And I've seen some of the older Latin Kings on my block form on niggas, whip niggas out, another nigga got cut, boom, niggas would go back to my block like, yo, you score that shit. Niggas tell them, niggas was out there celebrating. You know what I'm saying? I did my first mission with the Bulls in 95. You know what I'm saying? Before I became a Latin King. You know what I'm saying? And we jumped some niggas. Niggas that had beef with my man Fernando. Chill. If you watching this, Chill. You remember my sister's husband, Chill, was there. This is the first time I met this nigga. He's still married to my sister to this day. Chill. I know you gonna watch this. You remember this mission we did when niggas was fucking with Fernando and we let them niggas have it? You remember that shit? That was my first mission that I ever did with the bros in 95. And Zeb was there. Zeb, you remember Shadow was there? All the guys that you know what I mean, that still, some of them still around, some of them still locked up. My man Zeb gave back a life sentence. He's out. He gonna see this. We put that pain in that day. You know what I'm saying? That was the first mission I did with the bros. So that shit locked me in right there. Niggas was like, yo, Shorty official. That nigga gonna go. And sure enough, like, I was gonna go every time. Front line shit. Man, I don't like talking about shit like that. You know what I mean? But it's the truth. Niggas was there.
Right,
niggas
right.
know. Niggas could stamp what I'm saying. There's no trying to be fly for the camera or trying to get crazy for the camera. No, none of that shit. I'm too old for that. You know what I mean? But this is my life. This is how it went.
At that time, was the beef with the Bloods already happening?
Hell yeah. Shit was going down. Like, we'll be on bikes like this, looking for them niggas. Them niggas will come down looking for us. We'd take them niggas off the block
So
with hammers, bats, and chains and shit. Hell yeah.
It was already on site.
Hell yeah. My son Tackle, rest in peace, used to have the fucking book bag like this to the front with the zip open with the hammer in it. You know what I mean? We was letting it loose at them niggas. We was going crazy on them niggas for years. But I ain't gonna lie, like, the Bloods, when the Bloods first came out, them niggas, it was like 20 to every one Latin King. Them niggas was super deep. You know what I mean? Like, they acquired the lasting members from the Zulu Nation and the renegade God bodies. So they went from real small to real fucking big, like this. You know what I'm saying? So the odds was against it. The Bloods fucked us up all throughout the 90s, all throughout the early 2000s. Yo, we got fucked up by the Bloods a lot on a lot of different occasions. But niggas from my era that's still here, we went head up with them niggas, man. We went head up with them niggas, and then it was like the 300 versus Xerxes and all his army of 10 million. That's how that shit was.
And you said that you had like a lot of friends that ended up like leaving the Kings, right? Because they couldn't deal with being so outnumbered by the Bloods.
Yeah.
What was that like for you to witness like your own bros not sticking around to fight side by side with you?
It was discouraging. It was discouraging.
I can only imagine what you witnessed during that time, you know, because I know when you're in it, like, you're not really processing it as it's happening, you know what I'm saying? But like after the fact, it's like, damn, like that's some crazy shit that I really went through.
Yeah. I remember every meeting, the numbers were getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And some of our leaders turned blood. You know what I mean? Some of the niggas that we looked up to, that we was in the field with, them niggas would switch to the other side. So, you know, 1 week we here together.
So that's even worse.
Yeah.
That's even worse that you switching to the other side. Not even that you just leaving the you know, the nation, but you going to the enemy essentially.
That shit happened a lot. So we'd be here
so
1
now
week in the
you're fighting
trenches
against
together.
your own bros then.
Absolutely. That was that coward shit. You know, the niggas couldn't handle the pressure. So originally there was crew hoppers, you know what I mean? So it's better that happened like that because that showed us who was really who. So we went from meeting every week, 40, 50 of us every week, down to 20, down to 15, down to like 8 or 9.
Is that how you became like a high-ranking member at such a young age? Because that was like some of the controversy, right? That you were real young, but like you were really top tier. But you were a part of the Taino tribe, right?
Well, not at first. So when I became king, we wasn't, the group of Latin kings I became king with, we wasn't reporting to a chapter. What ended up happening was that my man, Taino Tribe was going through his own thing. Like, them niggas had some shit happen where the leadership was under investigation by the feds, and you know, my man Vamp and some of the big homies, Chap and Mono and them, got picked up by the feds, and niggas ended up doing life in prison for that shit that went down. But while this is happening, we still in my neighborhood repping, putting on for LK, you know what I'm saying? But not mixing with the Taino Tribe shit that was happening. So my man Cosita, which is, I love you, Cosita. If you're going to see this nigga, I love you no matter what we went through. He was going to Cardinal Hayes, a Catholic school in the Bronx. I think it was nice in baseball. So he met a Latin king there. And he was like, that nigga was like, yo, y'all niggas not reporting. That shit is happening in Taino Tribe. Why don't y'all niggas come with us? So that's how we went from Yonkers to the Bronx. That's when we started reporting with Bronx Inca. With my man Satani, gonna rest in peace. You know what I mean? Like, that's how we got hooked up with the Bronx, and we started there. And eventually we broke off, like, you know, politics happened, and we ended up coming back to Yonkers and reforming Taino Tribe.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, because then I know that you're from Yonkers, but then I think I saw that you were talking about that you spent a lot of time in the Bronx too, though.
Yeah, a lot of time.
So it was like, through that.
So a lot of people that's not from New York, they don't know how close Yonkers and the Bronx really is.
Right,
you know,
right.
It's like right there.
It's like right next to you.
Like here. You know what I'm saying? Like, as close as your big toe and the long one is to each other, you know?
Right, right.
If I grab a rock right now, throw that shit out the window, it'll probably land in Yonkers.
That's crazy. So at what point did you meet Kano?
I met Kano. There was a moment in time where, you know, we were trying to get shit back in order when there was no order. You know what I'm saying? And oftentimes that happens for whatever reason, you know what I mean? And I met Kano. And Kano, it's funny because Kano was like an enemy to the Bronx Latin Kings at one point, you know what I'm saying? Like, we had a lot of drama with him and his niggas, you know what I'm saying? But when I finally met him, you know, when people talk about somebody, like Kano was really mad work back in the days. I think it was a demon. So niggas of my age, from my era, it was like, yo, we just saw Kano come off the block. We're like, yo, I think this nigga's mad scary. Relax. I think it's seeing shit. You don't know, fear fabricates the mind. Like, you think you see somebody, but the nigga really was around. You know what I'm saying? Nigga was running like in the car, like scheming on niggas. Yo, Kano was a beast back in the days. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's still official. I love that nigga to death. You know what I mean? So that shit was going on. So when we finally, you know what I'm saying, like caught up with each other and, you know, put the bullshit to the side, try to come together and rebuild, you know, our castle or whatever, that's when I met Kano. Maybe like in 02, 03 or something like that. And from the moment I met Kano, I was intrigued by him, you know what I'm saying? Like the way he carried himself, the way he spoke. He was so sure of everything that came out his mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like everything that came out his mouth was official, stamped. You know what I mean? And other people that I respected him. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, Kano, when he first met me, was just like, I could tell, like, he had some reservations about me, some disdain about me. I was too out there, you know what I mean? I was too full of myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless,
he spoke with conviction.
Yeah, all the time. All the time. To this day.
Yeah. And it's interesting because then, like, he's from Yonkers too and spent time in the Bronx just like you. So both of you guys have kind of like a little bit of that parallel.
Yeah. We grew up with a lot of the same people.
Yeah. How would you describe him back in the day?
Shit. Ready. Always ready. Always ready. Kano was the type of nigga, like, if he said it, he meant it. You know what I'm saying? And there were times where we were put in positions to test that theory. you know what I mean, of readiness. You know what I mean? There comes a
Right.
time where in your life where, you know, you got to back up the shit that you speak about. And we were put into some situations that, you know, both of us were able to come out of them situations and say, yo, I believe you.
Right, right.
I believe you.
Show and prove.
Yeah.
Do you think that you lost your innocence too young as a child?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of us did. A lot of us did because you know,
I saw you speak about having this hunger for violence.
Yeah.
And that's what partly like pushed you to join the gang, right?
Yeah.
Where do you think that hunger comes from?
Having to defend myself when I was living in a project. Having to defend myself, and when I defend
So just always feeling like you in survival mode, basically. Like you have to do this.
I just like the way it felt when I defended myself. I always loved it. Like I showed no fear. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like satisfied. You know what I'm saying? Like I suffered from power orientation. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't take when somebody was challenging me. You know what I'm saying? Somebody challenged me, it's on. Like that switch just turn right on. You know what I mean? So, and sometimes I got my ass whipped, don't get me wrong, you know what I'm saying? But I left satisfied, like, yo, I defended myself whether I lost or won. You know what I mean? And one thing, I don't care whether I win or lose, you're going to respect my shit. You know what I'm saying? You're going to respect my shit. And if I got to see you a couple of days from now and it's on again, it's going to be on again, but you're going to respect my shit.
When you were a kid, do you feel like your family did a good job of helping you learn how to communicate properly or like process your emotions or certain things that was happening?
Hell no. Everybody in my family was cooked in their own ways. You know what I mean? Like, even though, like, my grandmother was the matriarch of my family, you know what I'm saying? She was the nucleus of my family, God rest her soul. And she kept us, like, family orientated, though. You know what I mean? All of us had, like, our shit with us. All of us came with baggage. And my grandfather was a nut, you know what I'm saying? That nigga was abusive like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, God rest his soul, but that nigga was a beast. That nigga was abusive like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But my grandmother, like, she stood 10 toes down, and she was the nucleus. She really held my family together. You know what I'm saying? She showed us the morals that trickled down to her kids, and from them it trickled down to us, to her grandkids. You know what I'm saying? And even to her great-grandkids that had the luxury of meeting her, such a beautiful and amazing woman. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we had these morals. We grew up with great family, you know what I'm saying, ties. But as far as individual communication, Puerto Rican people don't communicate well.
you know that's an interesting thing, right? Because like I feel like in minority households, a lot of times it's kind of like that unspoken, like we just don't talk about certain things, like we just don't address certain stuff, like we just kind of act like nothing happened. You know what I mean? Like we just move on, right?
Yeah.
But I find that like a lot of times because we do that, it ends up manifesting its way in other ways, right? So that like violence becomes your form of communication.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I saw violence as the answer to everything. Like all my problems. I spoke with my hands, you know what I'm saying? I spoke with my hands a lot, you know what I mean? And I was very active.
Cause you know, in the hood, it's almost like there's like a 5-second rule. Like you got to react within those 5 seconds. You know what I'm saying? And then that's how you communicate. You know, it's like that quick. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when you're in the neighborhood, everybody's watching. Everybody's watching, and the moment you fall,
and if you let shit slide one time, shit slide one time,
people are gonna think they can walk all over you. That's why you can't let that shit slide at all. You know,
it's crazy, man. How do you raise your kids differently, or kind of similar with what you've been through in life?
Well, my kids, I give them that affection that I never had. You know what I'm saying? And I constantly let them know, like, yo, listen, don't ever be afraid to verbally express yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got to have these uncomfortable conversations. You got to work your way through them, whether you like it or not. You know what I'm saying? But communication is everything. You know what I'm saying? And I'm fully enthralled in everything that they got going on. You know what I'm saying? I want to do for them what I never had as a youngster. You know what I mean? And that's time. Like money and material things, that's nothing. You got to give time to your children. And that's what I do. I always make sure they're my top priority.
Mm. Yeah, man, can't commend that enough. You know what I mean? I think that the problem also is, you know, in this society, men are not taught to communicate properly. Right?
Yeah,
We're not
absolutely
encouraged to share our emotions, or that's a feminine trait, or, you know what I mean? And so, like, you can't cry, you know, like that's a woman thing to do, right? And you know, when you release the emotion through tears versus anger, that's the appropriate way for us, right? That they deem like, oh, that's how you're supposed to do it as a man. It's different. The release is different.
Yeah, we live in that kind of culture, especially Puerto Rican culture.
Yeah.
Like, you know, where you got to have, like, tough skin. Because if you don't, people are going to beat on your ass. You know, they're going to be like, yo, you know, I don't know if you know Puerto Ricans, man, but it ain't easy growing up in a Puerto Rican household, bro. You got to have tough skin. And let me tell you something. Growing up, my sisters taught me how to fight. You know what I'm saying? My sisters taught me how to fight.
Chicks is as tough as the dudes.
Yeah.
Chicks is as tough as the dudes.
I used to get my ass whipped by my sisters. My sisters, Letty and Paula, used to fuck me up all the time.
Wow, man. So how did I know you briefly touched on how you got the name Blame FX, right? It was from your brother.
Yeah.
But you also were known as Bandana Cappuccino at one point.
Yeah, so
right.
It was like
and there's a special meaning. There's a special meaning to that name too.
Yeah. So, you know, as time went on, you know what I'm saying, like other members start calling you different things. You know what I'm saying, like the squad used to call him Bandana Blame. You know, Bandana Blame. That's Bandana Blame right there. You know what I'm saying, like, and then over time, some people call me Bandana, some people call me Blame. Like, but people from back in the days know me as Blame. They were like, yo, that's little Blame right there. And so a lot of people from like maybe like 2010 and on might know me as Bandana. Like, yo, that's Bandana Blame. That's Bandana right there. That, you know. And Cappuccino was the squad. That was my crew. Like the niggas that ran with me. You know what I'm saying? All of us adopted. Like, you know, you got a last name. You know, crime families got their last name. They got, oh, he a Gambino.
Right.
He a Cappuccino. He run with the Cappuccinos. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's click shit. You know what I mean?
I saw you break it down one time, though. I saw you break it down where the cappuccino part came from.
That's no longer important. But, you know, shout out to everybody that came up. Shout out to everybody that came up in the trenches with me. Everybody that, you know, that whole Cappuccino and what we went through did it at heart. I love y'all. You know what I mean?
Right. At one point, you were cool with Block Royal Family, right?
Yeah, in some ways. Through Kano. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you, like, who was a member of that at that time?
Oh, I was never, I can't speak on that. I wasn't, like, enthralled with them like that. I just
okay,
knew
so
a couple
you just,
of them
like, knew of them.
Yeah.
Got you.
Some of them hit me up, like, on social media, like, yo, you know Kano? Like, I know Kano, we do music together, da-da-da, you know. My guys Poe and them from Long Island, you know, they was, you know what I'm saying, linked up with them in certain ways, and my name was, like, really buzzing out there in the street, so they'll introduce themselves sometimes, but I ain't never really had nothing to do with that Black Royal Family movement.
Got you, okay. You said that your father was a Nieta, right? Yeah. And and you became a king, and at one point the Nietas and kings were kind of like together. What made you decide to become a king instead of a Nieta?
I wasn't really around them. I wasn't around them. Like, I went to school with Tiny was my best friend. She was a queen. You know what I mean? And on my block, or some of the older homies was Latin kings. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't around on yet. I was like, I used to hang out with Zulu Nation members and Latin kings. There was a couple of yet niggas in my neighborhood that was official. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? And my man's like blood family to me. My man Woody is like a cousin to me. I always say my cousin Woody, my older cousin Woody. He was in the He was like that big homie up north and all that. But when he came home, he left it alone. Family man, he ain't on none of that shit no more. Like left that shit alone a long time ago. But like I wasn't really around them niggas like that. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of them niggas from my neighborhood that was near the niggas were soft. Like niggas just slapped up, chased down a block. Like, I wasn't fucking with them niggas. It never chased me. It slapped me down the block. You know what I mean? Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, I can't involve myself with shit like that. I can't be connected to stuff like that in no way.
So then your father comes back around when you're like about 13 to 14 and you're a king at this time. What is the exchange like between you guys?
We never had like a real solid relationship. You know what I'm saying? Maybe with my sisters more so, but I was too like enthralled in the street life to even give a fuck about at this point. You know what I mean? About what he had going on or whatever he was doing. You know what I'm saying? But the good that came out of it was he connected us with my siblings from my father's side. You know, my sister Ina was the first one. When we reconnected when I was 12, 13, when he made one of his many cameos, well, not many cameos, one of his cameos. He used to come like every 5, 6 years, let's just say, show up. He showed up with my sister, Ina. You know what I mean? And it was amazing. Like that moment of my life, I seen her, I saw me. Like we looked so much alike, I was like, oh shit. You know what I mean? That was like a really dope moment, you know what I mean, that I feel. And you know what I mean? Like, I got that moment in my heart, like forever, just stamped, like wow. You know what I mean? And it was nice to, start to get to know my siblings from my father's side and get to know them and try to build relationships with them and stuff like that. But for the most part, he continued that algorithm, like cameos in and out. But I feel like when we got in contact, when we met my siblings from my father's side, we had all access to him. But at this point, I wasn't really interested. I didn't really give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? But we ended up connecting more on a more personal level after I came home from my Fed bid.
So when he showed up, though, right, was he trying to be present in your life? Like, I want to be your dad now? Or it was just more of like, I'm just showing up randomly for whatever reason?
I feel like when he showed up, he wanted to have a relationship, not necessarily be my dad because he didn't have shit to offer. You know what I'm saying? But he did want to have a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And he lived with his lady at the time in the Bronx. And, I would pop up on him every now and then. But I could never get that
trust? Like
that feeling I had towards him off of my chest. You know what I mean? Like, nigga, you did us wrong. You left my mother by herself. Nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could never get that off of my chest. You know what I mean? Like, nigga, you's a coward for that. And you chose them over us. You's a bitch for that. You know what I mean?
Is he still with us?
There was certain... Who?
Your father, is he still with us today? Like, is he still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive. He's still alive. And we got, like, a cordial relationship. We speak once every 2 weeks and stuff like that. And we got a cool relationship, but I really wasn't trying to give him no rhythm. I ain't even gonna lie. If it wasn't for my sisters from my mother's side, you know what I mean? That was like, yo, just leave that in the past. You know what I'm saying? Like build a relationship with him. We here today and gone tomorrow. You don't want to live with that on your conscience. But as fucked up as it sounds, like I can't like really fake it. I can't fake to have love for a nigga. You know what I mean? I just it's something that I can't. You know what I mean? I can't just dive into it emotionally.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not something that I want to do. I do it because my sisters be like, yo, don't be like that. Answer the phone. Like, if it was up to me, like, nigga, handle your business, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, do what you got to do. You was with them, stay with them. You know what I'm saying? See what they'll do for you. You know what I'm saying? But I got that other side that's like, damn, Blake, don't be like that. You know what I'm saying? Just pick up the phone. You're an older man. You know what I'm saying? He's not that same person he used to be. Like, give him some rhythm. You know what I'm saying? Don't do the old man like that. You know what I mean?
But did you guys ever have like a real conversation about like what happened or about how you feel about that?
Yeah.
And was he like receptive?
Yeah, you know, I like that man to man. Huh?
Was he receptive to that? Was he like, yeah, you right, I was wrong, or like?
Yeah. He was like, you know, I lived a self-destructive life, a self-destructive lifestyle. You know, he was an alcoholic for many years, dabbled in drugs every now and then. You know what I'm saying? He was a gang member. He lived the street life heavy. You know what I'm saying? So he had his own demons that he had to battle. That's why in some ways I give him that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you went through it too. You know what I'm saying? Because of what you went through. You know what I'm saying? But I still got like that, some of that side of me that's nigga like, fuck you and your story, nigga.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got my mother, you was getting my mother pregnant, taking advantage of her. You know what I'm saying? And you was still getting Andrea, rest in peace. My siblings from my father's side, their mother passed away. God rest her soul. You know what I'm saying? So he was two-time in both of them. You know what I'm saying? They was best friends. There's a lot of personal shit that I'm getting into.
Right. No,
you know what I mean? But he ain't do right by them or by us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, nigga, what kind of rhythm do I owe you? Well, you know what I mean? What do I owe you? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? The little bit that I do give you, be happy you even getting that.
But do you ever think about needing to forgive him for yourself more than for him? Because, you know, like when you carry that feeling around, is heavier on you than it is on them.
I can't.
I understand, man. It's tough, bro.
I can't. There's some things that he did that you can't forgive.
I got you, man.
You know what I'm saying? Not to me personally.
No, I know what you mean.
Not to me personally. Yeah. So we're just gonna leave it like that. You know what I'm saying?
But to build off of that, though, I feel like because you are a parent and you prioritize being a father so much that I don't think you could possibly ever imagine leaving your kids, right?
Absolutely.
You couldn't even picture that. So I feel like you carry that standard of looking like, how could you do that? You know what I mean? That's not the real man thing to do, right? Like you made the decision to become a parent, so stand on it. Do what you're supposed to do.
I'm going to give you a perfect example. My Uncle AZ, right? My Uncle AZ was a gangster, straight gangster. You know what I'm saying? He lived the street life. He was a hustler. He was that nigga. But he never strayed away from being my uncle and being the father figure that I needed. No matter what kind of drama he was into, no matter what was going on in his life, I always had that comfort in knowing that I could lean on him, I could come to him for whatever I needed. For whatever I needed. Anything I needed. He never stopped being that safety net that I needed. You know what I'm saying? So when I started fucking around, started hustling, getting money, and I was making moves with my uncle, loyalty ain't loyalty until it's tested. And in my family, we define loyalty. We're the definition of absolute, unwavering, unquestionable loyalty. That's why that unwavering loyalty that my uncle passed on to me, that's what I give to my niggas that's still in my life. The niggas I'm with all the time, J.O., Dom, they know this about me, you know what I'm saying? They know that they're going to get 1,000,000% loyalty. I don't believe in 100%. I believe in 1,000,000% loyalty. I give this animal tenacity of loyalty to my niggas and to my children, to my family, to anybody that's a part of my life who I love the most. This is my gift to them.
Right. I want to ask you a really difficult question, okay? Because I know that your uncle was your father figure and he was that person for you that you needed during that time, right? But he's also the person that put your first gun in your hand.
Right.
Do you ever think about that? Because like you being a father yourself, like you odds are you wouldn't put a gun in your child's hand, right?
Definitely not.
Right. So, but at the same time, the circumstances of the way that you guys were living, it's kind of understandable too, but it's kind of, you know what I mean? It's that difficult thing. You get what I'm saying? It's that difficult thing because he was there for you, but then he also helped you get into that lifestyle a little bit.
AZ wasn't a perfect person. My uncle wasn't a perfect nigga. We was living a street life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And my Uncle AZ raised all his nephews. He raised us, all of us. You know what I'm saying? To have this kind of reaction to our circumstances. You know what I'm saying? Like he taught us how to be. He taught us how to be loving when we needed to be. And he taught us how to be animals when we needed to be. You know, from early on, my Uncle AZ taught me that the world is unforgiving. Nobody gives a fuck about how you feel. That's why you got to grab your nuts and you got to be who you have to be when that time comes. You know, there comes a certain time in somebody's life where, you know, you can wear your crown, right? But there's going to be a time in your life where that crown got to shine. And you have to, that decision making is in your hand. It's your choice. Mm-hmm. And my uncle taught me that at a young age. You know what I'm saying? Like my uncle was like, you're going to be the better. My uncle taught to his nephews, I want y'all to be a better version of me. My uncle wanted for us what he never had.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Especially for me, that I'm like one of my uncle's favorite nephews. You know what I'm saying? Me and my cousin Alex, you know what I mean? We my uncle JJ, we my uncle's favorite nephews because we more like him than any of the rest of his nephews. You know what I'm saying? We more like my uncle. You know what I'm saying? Like we got that animal in us like my uncle did. You know what I mean? Like my uncle had when we was growing up. You know what I'm saying? My uncle held down my whole hood with just these. And nigga didn't have to bust a shot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I appreciate your answer, and I really do like your answer because you're right. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody in this world is perfect, you know? And it seems like it seems like your uncle really did try his best at least, and he tried to teach you guys what he knew, right? I mean, given the circumstances.
Values. He taught us values.
Right. And you also said that you had a stepfather, but he didn't care about you guys?
I think it was a piece of shit.
So he was just there, like, living off of your mom's, or, like, what exactly?
Nah, he did what he could do. He paid the bills, but fuck him. And I don't want to talk about him.
No doubt, man. I got you. So then at one point, you end up getting sentenced to 10 years in prison, right? What year is this? Like 2006 or something?
Yeah, so my case started in 2006.
Can you talk about what led up to that situation? Because if I'm not mistaken, you were set up, right?
Well, yeah. So 2006 came around. one of my mans that was closely connected to us was being investigated. And somebody that was fucking with him, that was working for him, I went and you know, saw him and whatever, you know what I'm saying, connected with him. He was being surveillance. That's how they got on to me. They were like, oh, shit. What? So they like, oh, we know him. We know him real good. You know what I'm saying? The feds didn't know me. But Yonkers police and Yonkers gang task force knew me very well.
Had you,
you know what I mean? They were like, oh, shit.
Had you gotten arrested before at this time?
Hell yeah, I was getting arrested all the time.
for drug transactions, the same thing? Like hustling or what?
Nah, I never got arrested for a drug transaction. I was getting arrested for fighting,
for
gang assaults, for graffitiing. My sisters, my mom used to come pick me up from Central Bookers all the time.
And then at this time, you got caught with what, 100 grams? When they set you up?
So when I got set up by one of my own land kids, he came, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to put details out there, but he came wired.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He came wired, audio and video. And they had me dead to rights, man. Mandatory minimum, 10 years. 10, max life.
How old are you at this time?
What was that?
How old are you at this time?
21.
21. And you're facing 10 years to life at 21. What is your initial reaction when you get arrested for this?
I remember, well, just briefly, I remember my man Mega, you know what I'm saying, got arrested. And he was fucking with us heavy. And when that happened, there was like a series of things after that took place that, you know, that was happening that made me feel like they was already on him. You know what I'm saying?
Got you, okay.
So, and I was getting arrested for stupid shit. They'll pull me out my car in the rain and arrest me and take my car. You know what I'm saying? They'll arrest me. I'll stop at a stop sign and make the right. Them niggas will pull me over and arrest me for that. Like, them niggas was arresting me for stupid shit. Like, before I got, like, 2-3 months before they actually locked me up, I was getting arrested all the time, like, for stupid shit. And I would come back out like, yo, niggas arrest me. Them niggas would be in my car searching my shit for like 2 hours. Damn. I get on the phone with my uncle, like, yo, niggas just searched my shit for 2 hours. He's like, yo, fall back, niggas just chill. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, yo, niggas are fucking up my money, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit like that was happening. But like a week before I actually got arrested, I felt the fire coming down hard, you know what I'm saying, with them niggas. So I you know, me and my Uncle AZ, we sat in the car. I remember we sat in the car on Yonkers Avenue. It was raining that day. And I was like, yo, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really need you. My baby mother was pregnant with my second son at the time, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, yo, I really need you if something happened, you know what I mean, to really, really, you know, hold her down, you know what I'm saying? If something happened to me, please, you know I'm going to hold it down, like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't even got to tell you that. Just take care of my little man, you know what I'm saying? And my son that I already had, you know what I'm saying? I already had a son. My son Justin, my first son, my 22-year-old. So, you know what I mean? I was going into my second son. I got 3 boys. So I was going into my second baby mom. She was pregnant, you know what I mean? And she was just about to pop. And we had that conversation. I just felt the fire coming down. I knew it was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And sure enough, a week or two after, the feds came to get me. And a day after that, my second son was born.
Damn, man.
So my second son, Josiah, was born. So a lot of people can't. That's why I say, like, yo, you don't know what I've been through. You can't walk in my shoes, my nigga.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm facing life in prison. The day that I get locked up, my middle son born the next day. You don't know what I'm going through. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the U.S. government, like, yo, a nigga probably going to try to get a deal. He probably, you know what I mean? He just had a son. This is our time to get him. We got to get him. Because I know he going to give up. You know, nigga, fuck y'all. Fuck y'all. We'll never tell on nobody, nigga. It's me, nigga, King Blaine, nigga. From YO, Die Slow. We don't tell on nobody, nigga. And for the niggas who have told them, fuck y'all. I don't even mention y'all rat-ass niggas, but I would never tell on nobody, not on my worst enemy, definitely not my uncle or anybody that was on my team or I had no co-defendants. You know what I'm saying? So
how long is the trial
it's
lasting?
really me. There wasn't no trial.
You just copped out?
Yeah, I copped out. I wasn't on trial. I knew they had me dead to right. You know what I'm saying? Once I got my discovery, I knew they had me dead to right.
So then you copped out to 10, right?
Yeah.
And then you end up serving, what, 8.5?
Yeah.
What is your mentality at this time then? Because then you know that you're not going to be there for your son, your second son, right? That's just born. And then you're not going to be there for your son that is obviously already born, you know. Take us through that mentality of knowing that it's going to be, you know, 8.5, 9 years before you're going to be released.
I couldn't like really fill my mind up with worldly worries. You know what I'm saying? I was in prison. Now I'm on animal time. Like, I was already on animal time in the street, but now it's like times 10. You know what I'm saying? Especially when I first started my bid. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I was already going through it with my second baby moms. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit was stressing me out heavy. And the fact that I couldn't be there for my two kids, like, that shit was really stressing me out heavy. So I was on go time. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be one of these people that come on these platforms and tell these war stories, how I was cutting everything and moving on everything, and I'm a killer, I'm not Jeffrey Dahmer, but I'm a serial killer, and I was, you know what I'm saying? I'm not doing none of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I was on go time. Anybody that was with me, any yard that I touched, could verify, stare at me. I was really him, you know what I mean? So I'm going to just leave it like that, you know what I mean? I don't want to be that person that
Got you.
goes on these platforms to do that. I don't want to glorify that, you know what I mean?
Can you take us, you know, can you tell us in detail, like, what prison is really like? Because I think that a lot of times people don't understand that, you know, inmates are taking out their frustrations on each other because of what's going on in their real lives, right? Like you said, of, you know, you not being able to be there for your kids is, you know, you taking it out on other people. You know what I mean? You're not letting shit slide, right? Like, take us through, like, that environment and what that's really like.
I feel like in prison, you're only going to get the respect that you give yourself. You know what I'm saying? And if you carry yourself respectfully, other people going to see that about you and respect that. You know what I mean? If you carry yourself like a fucking bozo, you constantly mixing with this one and that one, up and down the yard with this one and that one, involved in everything and in everybody's business, everybody's face, you're gonna feel the fire for that. You know what I mean? But so long as you stick to, you know what I mean, like, mind your business, you carry yourself like a man with 1,000,000% respect, other people gonna see that about you and respect you as well. Granted, you got your people that, you know what I'm saying, will mistake your humility. They're often, not oftentimes, but sometimes they'll put your humility like in a place where it don't belong. You know what I'm saying? And they think they could get one up on you. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it comes in different forms. Like, it comes in like friendly extortion. Like, yo, you give me a bag of coffee this week, my nigga? You know, my peoples ain't send that money now. You know, little shit like that. You know what I mean? They'll come to your cell like, yo, my nigga, you think I can get a suit? And my nigga, yo, you think you would hit me with a tuna pack? Yo, I didn't get that. Yo, like little things, you know what I mean? Like, little things you gotta watch out for. That you gotta stay militant when things like that happen. You know what I'm saying? And you can't be afraid to say no. Like, yo, I ain't got it. You know what I'm saying? Oh shit, yo, you gotta check that shit at the door. You know what I mean? Any funny thing, anything. It could be the most minute thing. check that shit where it happens, when it happens, so that it don't happen no more.
Hey, what was being in the box like? Because you ended up spending like a long time in the box, right?
Yeah, at some points, I'll do a couple of months here, then 2 months there, a couple of months here, you know what I mean? But box life is shitty, man.
Because I don't think people understand like how difficult it really is, because you're like being cut off from like all communication pretty much, right? Any interactions with people.
Yeah. You sing a lot when you're in the box.
Yo, you were singing them R&B joints? That's what you was doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've
you
heard
read a lot and you sing a lot.
I've heard stories where people will be like having like the pet roach and stuff like that, because like it's like your mind starts to go to weird places.
Yeah. Well, I actually took, every time that I went to the box, I really like took the time to like build my mind. You know what I mean? Read books. You know what I'm saying? I read a lot. You know what I'm saying? I sang a lot. Yeah, as crazy as that sounds. You know, you don't really, if you do have a bunkie in the box, you have, every conversation is informative. You know what I mean? Like every conversation is meaningful. Nothing is, you don't waste energy for no reason in the box. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is meaningful. Everything is intentional. You know what I mean? And meaningful.
So you can have a bunkie in the box? It's not just you by yourself?
Yeah. Nah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
But how long is
especially when oftentimes the jail's overcrowded.
Oh, right, okay.
Like, yo, but it's very segregated. It's very segregated too. You know what I'm saying? I was one of the few people that I could live with blacks and Puerto Ricans, but I won't let nobody else live with me.
Got you.
The blacks from New York could live with me.
What was the longest amount that you spent in the box at one period of time?
Maybe like 6 months.
And was that like, what was that like for you?
I got caught with a cell phone.
Oh, right, okay. And what was that like for you at the end of it? Like, were you going crazy, or like you used the time wisely, you feel like?
I mean, they don't let you get your radio. You know what I'm saying? Once you go to something that's called, once you see like the captain and they decide whatever it is that whatever discipline you're going to get, they take your radio. They put you in something that's called DS, disciplinary segregation. Now, mind you, this is the feds. I don't know how the state runs. I've never been to state prisons. I just could speak on the feds. So it's called disciplinary segregation. Once you're on disciplinary seg, they take your radio. So by the time I got my radio back, I haven't heard a tune or a song for so long that the moment I got it back, I just turned it on, and whatever came on, I was just like, oh God. Like all my senses were like acute, you know what I mean? Like, holy shit, music, rhythm,
right,
a voice, you know what I mean? Like my when I got my radio, my hand was trembling like this, like, oh my God, like you were so deprived of like music, and you know how essential music is to our everyday life.
Right.
That the moment that is stripped away from you, you're like, holy shit. That's why I say we sang a lot, you know what I mean? Like, made beats on the table and sang a lot.
How do you feel about how King Blood has been treated after all these years?
So I don't just put King Blood in that bracket by himself, because there's a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, that the justice system has buried and never gave a second chance to. And whether they deserve a second chance is up for debate. That's up to you, but I don't feel like the justice system has the right to bury a human alive under no circumstances.
So do you feel like
unless it's a child molester, wrap him up, child molester, rape, wrap them up, send them in a pod to outer space.
Yeah.
And let them get sucked up by a black hole and disappear somewhere another galaxy, alternate reality.
Do you feel like it's been inhumane, though, the treatment that King Blood has received with not being able to communicate with the outside world?
Prisoners, period, are treated inhumanely.
Mm.
You know, oftentimes it's like modern day slavery. You get paid 10 cents an hour to perform tasks that people in the real world are getting paid $40 an hour to do. Imagine you doing all this work, painting, plumbing, getting shit on your hands and having to paint and fix toilets and fix pipes and shit for 10 cents an hour.
It's crazy.
Shit is out of control. Shit.
But you look at the prison system in some other countries, and in some other countries it is worse than in the US, right? But in some other countries it's better than the US too. Like how does that make you feel when you look at that?
I can't say nothing positive about prison, bro.
Nothing at all.
I don't know what to tell you.
But you've seen in other countries it's better than in the US, right? Like have you ever seen like in Japan the way that the food, even just the food, is different? Like I think in Europe the way that they treat the inmates is different too.
Yeah, they have like a whole curriculum of how to deal with, inmates. They have like a whole program, you know what I mean, on how to deal with inmates in a lot of these other countries that, that restore.
It's true rehabilitation.
The humanity in them. And yeah, it's true rehabilitation, exactly.
Right.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Because like the way that
and oftentimes in the United States, they call it correctional facilities.
Right.
But it don't correct shit about it. It does more damage than correcting.
Yeah, a lot of times people end up, they call it college for criminals in certain cases, right? Or it's like you got to do certain things in order to stay alive, and you can end up catching a body when you wasn't even in there for that type of thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, hell yeah. Seen it happen a lot of times.
Yeah.
Seen a nigga go in with 2 years. Before you know it, he done did a mission, put a ice pick in a nigga neck, and before 2 years turned into 12.
That's crazy, man.
See that shit happen all the time.
What was the heartbreak like of knowing one of your own helped put you behind bars because of just your code and your beliefs that you would never do anything like that?
I wouldn't say so much it was heartbreaking. I would say it was eye-opening. It's like, that's what you get, nigga, for putting your fucking guard down.
So
for disregarding the rules. Don't fucking bring anybody that you don't know into your circle. Those are like cardinal rules.
So you took it as a hard lesson more than anything. And they say like the best lessons are usually the hardest ones too.
Right.
So the person wasn't like your man. It was just kind of like somebody that you kind of knew.
It was a nigga that was connected to other people that I fuck with.
Got you.
You know what I mean? That stamped him. Like, yo, nigga official. You know what I mean? Like, connect with homie. But against my better judgment and me thinking that I'm untouchable at the time. Remember, I thought I was untouchable. Nobody could tell me shit. You know what I mean? Like, police are searching my car all the time. They don't find shit. I got a pistol and 100 grams in the stash. They were just searching my car for 2 hours. They didn't find shit. I'm driving away like, yeah, you bitch ass niggas. I really am. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody could tell me shit at the time. And when it's happening, you never see the signs. You never see the signs until you're sitting in that bullpen, like, then you're sitting there connecting the dots, like, fuck.
Right.
Damn, how the fuck he got me lacking like that? Know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But outside of what you were saying before about how like being a child, or a rapist and stuff, those are being a snitch is like one of the worst things you can be in prison, though, right?
Yeah.
And even, I mean, like, that's like a crazy jacket to put on anybody without, like, in prison. Like, how does it work with, like, everybody checks each other paperwork like that? Like, if you get that rumor put on you?
Not everybody. I mean, if you was on gang time, like, I could tell you this, like, the Latin Kings, the Bloods, the Crips, the Sureños, the Disciples, anybody that was, like, on real gang time, them niggas, you have to have your paperwork. Have to have your paperwork. You can't walk around the compound without your paperwork. It's like your license. You can't navigate the jail without your license.
But to you, like, that's a code that you live and you would die for, that you believe so strongly for, that you would never, you know, violate for anybody, right? But you look at now this era that we're in, and how it's almost become more acceptable for people to snitch. Like, how do you feel about that? Especially when you see kind of like in hip hop now, like it's more accepting of that.
I don't feel no way about it because I don't put no energy into it. And plus the life I live now, it's not something that's, you know, imminent in my life. It's not. I'm not putting myself in positions where I have to worry or not if this nigga's going to snitch on me or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could honestly, you know, without feeling certain type of way, say that I'm living a square life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm living a square. I'm not involved in the street life anymore.
You're just a regular citizen now.
I can say that. I'm a regular citizen that'll still fuck a nigga up. Just put it like that.
Well, I think that
I say that
you're just a man.
Humbly, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you're just a man, right?
You know
and
a
man will protect their own.
Don't get me twisted.
Right.
Just because that I'm living a square life. Don't get me twisted. Don't find out the hard way. Like, I don't want to take it there, but I can. You know, and all the niggas that are with me, that, you know what I'm saying, that I'm with on a regular basis, we all live in this lifestyle where we want to do better for us and we want to show our people better through our actions. But don't get us fucked up, because if we have to take it there, it's going to be ugly.
But you don't feel any type of way about how people are making it more justifiable to snitch these days, though, like in hip hop and everything?
I can't put my energy into it.
You can't even think about it.
I can't put my energy into it because we're living in different times. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't feel no way about it.
I feel you.
I just know that if you a rat, I could never ever, like, you're a ghost to me. You just don't exist. Like, I see through you. Like, it's nothing. You're a ghost to me. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me twisted. When I say rats, I mean people that were invested in the street life, knew the consequences, and still chose to turn on their people.
Right.
I'm not talking about somebody that witnesses a shooting in the street and points somebody out. That's just a citizen. That's not a rat. That's just.
I think that a lot of people get that confused, though. Like, why is that? Why do people just like consider like any form as snitching, even if that person was never a part of the street life, if they were just a regular citizen?
Impossible. If a person is not living the street life and they're square, they're a regular citizen, how can they ever be a snitch? They don't walk. They don't move with the same morals and unspoken rules of the street like that we do.
Right.
So how can you have them the same expectations for them?
Yeah, you know, my bro China Mac, he said that like when you pick up that gun, when you do those little things in the street and stuff like that, you're basically signing a contract. You know what I mean? That you obey by these certain codes in this life. That's what he said. He said,
perfect.
You know,
that's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah, and he says that people, you know, that aren't living that kind of life, it's like they didn't agree to go by those codes, so you can't put that same standard on them, basically.
Yeah, you can't put that standard on them. You can't have them same expectations for them. You know, they're regular civilians. They're regular citizens. You know, if my grandmother calls the cops on somebody because they're smoking weed in the hallway of her building, and somebody calls my grandmother a snitch, nigga, I'm gonna come for your head. It's off with your fucking head. Right. Don't ever label my grandmother no snitch. Like, are you fucking retarded? You know what I'm saying? Like, you call.
I mean, because essentially a citizen is doing what they're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Because they live in just that regular life. Like they, you know.
If you come up to me and do something to me, my mother's gonna call the cops on you.
Right.
If she did. You know? My mother knows who did it, she's calling the cops on you.
How bad is the food in prison?
Oh, it depends. It depends. I remember the food at MDC was disgusting. I mean, the food in Valhalla was disgusting, but the food at MDC was a little bit better. And then once you got to the feds and, you know what I'm saying, you got to wherever you was getting, it was a lot better than you were getting like county jails and those jails that are like how you call them? The jails that like are like privately owned.
Yeah.
You know, you got some jails and holdovers that are privately owned. That the food fucking sucks, you know what I'm saying? But once you get to wherever you're going, you know, I'm sure, and also in the state too, you could cook your own food. You know, you get hot pots and you could, you know, you're able to cook your own food. And in the feds, you know, they got hot bars.
See, that's the interesting thing though, right? Because that's the interesting thing. Depending where you're locked up, there's different rules basically to like what you have access to, what you can do, right?
Right.
So what is the more ideal situation of being locked up in the state or the feds or privately owned? Like what is the better situation?
I think some people that I know that been to both state and feds would say that they'd rather be in the state because the feds is more violent. It's so many different places. Like you got this car that's from New York. They got their own little crew. Then you got the Land Kings. Then you got the Disciples. The feds is gangland. The fuck out. Then you got the Sureños that's from Cali. Right. Then you got the Texas Syndicate niggas that's from Texas. Them niggas go stupid hard. Then you got the Aryans, the white boys that go stupid hard. Then you got the neutral white boys from like Maine and Connecticut and, you know what I mean? Them niggas go hard too. You know what I'm saying? Then you got the Puerto Ricans from the island that go stupid hard. Then you got the Paisas from Mexico that go stupid hard. You know what I mean? So the feds, cars don't crash in the feds. Buses crash in the feds. And when shit go down in the feds, bodies is dropping. You know what I'm saying? That shit is, I'm not even saying that for views. And anybody that been to the feds can tell you shit go down in the feds. Whole jails get shut down. You know what I mean? But I can't speak for the state because I've never been there.
For the state, it's almost like the learning curve is not as much because you're probably from wherever like you're doing prison time for, right? Like you know the culture a little bit more there, like going to the state and then like going to the feds is like a total, you don't know what to expect. This could be anything. Could be any groups of people.
Don't get me wrong. There's state jails that get stupid crazy. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. And I know some of my comrades that I work with on a daily basis, them niggas them niggas is, you know, battle tested and passed with flying colors. You know what I'm saying? So I know it gets crazy in the state jails too. Mm-hmm. I guess it's just a matter of the prison you get to, what is going on in that particular prison at the moment. It don't matter whether it's state or fed.
Got you.
You know what I mean? So you could get to a jail. I'm gonna speak for the feds for an example. And the homies from St. Louis, they got a little static with the Mexicans from Texas. You know what I mean? So or the whole jail was on edge, like, oh shit about to go down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just be careful when you're outside rotating in the yard because you don't want to get hit with a fucking bocce ball, stabbed by accident by one of these Mexican niggas that can't see the difference between you and a nigga from St. Louis, or you a New York Puerto Rican and an island Puerto Rican. So you know what I'm saying? Them niggas can't tell the difference. So
you got to be really careful who you talk to then.
Yeah, everything every single step, every move you make, every conversation you have in prison is calculated.
It's that crazy. Wow, man.
Everything is thought out. Yeah, hell yeah. You gotta move accordingly, or else you get left behind. Take that trip on a helicopter.
And depending on where you're locked up, right, it's like more segregated than other areas. Like people stick to their own.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. In the mess hall, everybody got their own table. Like the Puerto Ricans sit right here, the Dominicans is right there next to us. We don't even look at them niggas.
Wow.
Them niggas don't look at us. like individually, some of us are cool with each other. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like King, right? I might have a Sureño nigga that's in my unit that I'm cool with. But when I see him in the yard, he's with his people, and I'm with mine, we still cool, but we're not showing it.
Got you. Okay. All right. I see. It's more political.
You know what I'm saying? Back in the unit, we like, yo, what up, nigga?
Yeah.
Yo, what's up? Yo, here, take this pack of tuna. You got summer sauce and pork. All right, here, take this pack of tuna. Good looking, nigga. Keep it moving.
Time and place.
You know what I mean? Yo, hold the phone for me. Yo, Chango, for example, Mexican nigga named Chango. Yo, Chango, you on the phone? Yo, let me get after you, fam. Yo, I got you, homie. Yo, we'll talk like that. Yo, I got you, homie. I'm like, yo, good looking, homie. You know what I mean? We cool in the unit, but once we get outside, you know what I mean?
But it's good to have some of those relationships in case like you need to like smooth things over between your two groups, though, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. There was plenty of times when niggas came to us, language barrier, Mexicans and the blacks. They come to the Land Kings because we know Spanish, we know English. We cool with the black niggas, we cool with the Mexican niggas. You know what I'm saying? So they come to us, you know what I'm saying? They're like, yo, such and such owes me money. Can you let them know before we crash out? You know what I'm saying? So like, I bet we mediate this shit.
So back to the food, right? Like bro, like Kano said to never eat soup in prison. He said soup is like one of the worst things to eat in prison because like once you start digging around, you see like the roach legs and like you see like other stuff. Like, would you agree?
Oh, pre-made soup from the kitchen?
Yeah. Like how like. Oh
yeah. I never ate that shit, but I don't know. Like I can't speak for state prisons. See, I can only speak for fed prisons, and they didn't really give soup like that much. You know what I mean? Like. The soups we ate came from commissary. So.
Right. And are you like were you cooking a lot in prison? Like your own thing? Like,
see, in the feds, we don't get crock pots and all like that. We get stingers. You know what I'm saying? Like, we get stingers. We got some places got microwaves, some places don't. So for the places that don't got microwaves, we use stingers to make like noodles and pasta. And warm other shit up, you know what I mean?
Yo, because people get mad creative with what they make, bro. Like, it's crazy. Like, bread and fish, everything. It's like, yo, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, niggas get mad. I remember when we was in Fort Dix, the white boys from, like, Maine and shit, there was on each floor, there's a bathroom, like, right in the middle. Them niggas had a whole distillery in that motherfucker. Niggas had holes on top of the shower stove. Niggas had holes coming out of here, pumps and holes coming out of here. Them niggas was filling up Poland Spring bottles like this big full of white lightning and selling them shit for like $100 each. You know what I mean? Niggas had a whole fucking distillery in there.
That's
at one
crazy,
point.
man.
Like niggas get super creative, man.
Wow.
Niggas get super creative, man. Especially when you ain't got nothing coming in from the street. You have to get creative. You know what I'm saying? You got to survive.
And, you find like some of the most creative people, like artistic people in prison too. Like just because they committed crimes or something don't mean that they not smart in other ways or gifted in other ways, right? Like how people use like the leftover soap bars and they create like fucking, you know what I mean? Like it's like the craziest stuff that you would never think about.
Yeah.
Did you spend a lot of time like you know, people trading you like to make some kind of graffiti art for them, and they give you something in return or anything?
Yeah, hell yeah. Like, I would do like portraits for people. You know what I'm saying? I charge them like $30, $40 a portrait on like small tag board papers. You know what I mean? That I used to buy from the store, from the Leisure Room store. And you can order them. You can order color pencils and shit like that. And I did that towards like the end of my bid where like my temperament calmed down a lot.
Where you so you were wilding out for like the good like first half of your bid, pretty much, or would you say like 2/3 of your bid?
We'll say like 2/3.
2/3.
That was on gang time, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when you on gang time, you can't rest up, but like you can't rest. It's always drama, like with your own people or with others.
What came to the realization for you that like, hey, I gotta relax a little bit? Did you see light at the end of the tunnel that I'm gonna get out soon, or?
Yeah, well, I went to a lax jail.
Oh, okay.
Like I ended up falling into a medium high that had lifers, and you know, the politics were very controlled. So a lot of the different crews had hands on politics. You know what I mean? Like you can't just put your hands on somebody from a different crew.
What do you think about all the Latin King interviews these days on YouTube? When I interviewed Kano, he said a lot of it is BS, like the jumping in and out, and he's heard people tell stories where he was there and the person on YouTube was not there. Like, how do you feel about these things?
Man, roll the clip.
But a lot of these dudes, bro, they was nobodies. They continue to be a nobody, and they act like they somebody. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'm better than anybody or I'm somebody, but dude, nobody knows you. Nobody heard of you. Like, what story you telling? Like, I see mad different dudes. Oh, they told me to do this. You got to get jumped in. Ain't nobody get jumped in to be no fucking king. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Y'all be making up stories, bro. That they pimp out sisters. Nigga, it's just, you know what I mean? I just get so aggravated sometimes that I don't have the patience to sit there and just watch some of this stuff.
I don't pay no attention to that shit.
You don't watch any of it?
Nah.
Well, but do you think that like with the internet though, that it's kind of created like this confusion about what is acceptable for somebody to even divulge anymore? Because, you know, like back in the day before, it's like people were more particular about what they were willing to say. And then now, because of this camera, people want the likes, they want the attention, they're willing to say more about stuff they might have been through, things they might have done.
Or haven't been through.
Right.
Stories they heard. That when shit like that happened, they were like 9 years old. How the fuck you was there?
Right.
That's the shit that kills me. And that shit happens to me a lot. Like niggas be like, yeah, I was there when it happened. Yo, ask Blaine. I get the phone call like, yo, Blaine, you know something? Never heard of him. Sorry.
That's crazy. Does that trips you out? Like you're just like, the fuck?
It don't trip me out because niggas do that shit for clout all the time. They want to say there was a lot of niggas that try to make themselves seem above and beyond, larger than life. They try to put themselves in places that certain things happen with people that are really known out in these streets. They try to put themselves there when it happened, and niggas will be like, yo, we know everybody that was there when it happened. Like, we was there, but nobody ever seen you. I had niggas that would be like, yeah, word of everything, I was there when this and this happened. Yo, my niggas, you heard that story from somebody else, so you know certain details.
Right.
So you could cite certain details of those situations, but you wasn't there.
How do you feel about the documentaries that have been made about Latin Kings, like the media in general?
I just feel like whatever you do, if it's done tastefully and with honor, then it's dope.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like if it's done tastefully, you know what I'm saying, and truthfully.
But some of them that have been done hasn't really painted the Kings in the best light, right? Like I think the one on the History Channel, I think maybe the one on the HBO one wasn't the best.
Yo, let me tell you something, man. Latin King is a lot of fucking bozo Latin Kings, man. That they just got a voice and found a platform and they make us look bad. But that's to every crew. You know what I'm saying? That's to every crew. In every gang, you got your group of niggas who want to be larger than what they are, and they get on these platforms like this and try to make themselves seem larger than life. And oh, I'm really that guy. I was there, and you know what I mean? Like they do a lot of bozo shit like that. Even in Latin King and our shit, there's plenty of old Latin Kings that aren't in the street no more. They not even in tune with what's going on in the street, getting on these platforms and talking like they're somebody. They're up here like, yo, well, we was doing this. I can be whoever I want right here in front of this camera. The moment this camera turns off, I go back to my reality. And thankfully for me, when this camera turns off, Panda Chop, I'm still this same motherfucker. But a lot of these guys, they create this person that they're really not. You know how many Latin Kings I know that got slapped up, got kicked out the crew, and now they on fucking YouTube talking about, yo, ATR big crowns, yo, look, I was there when this and this happened with Fat Joe, and this and this happened with Cuban, and this, and yeah, I know Kano, and I know Blame, and I know King Tone and them, and yeah, I was locked up with King Blood in the 80s. Shut the fuck up. You lying, nigga. You know how many, that's why I don't give it no energy.
Right.
That's why I don't give it no energy. That's why I say if it's done tastefully and truthfully, yeah, and with honor, that's what I'm really about. Honor. You know what I'm saying?
You know, those type of things. It's like that one apple that ruins it for the rest of them, right? For everybody else.
Can't avoid it.
Yeah.
Can't avoid it. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Look at the Queen's Flip interview with the Blood. They were in there arguing with each other. One of them told another one that he was going to knock him out after the interview. Like, whoa, you know, that's a lie on camera. Like, I don't condone like that type of shit. But shout out to them guys because they're older than me, you know what I'm saying? And they've been through their own shit. And I'm sure some of them are really like that. Don't get me wrong. But there's like certain behaviors that I won't indulge in. Right. There's certain behaviors that I wouldn't even give my energy to because they don't make me look honorable. They make me look like a bozo, like how some of these niggas look on here with their opinions about things.
That doesn't make you mad because this is something that you've obviously bled for, something that means a lot to you, right?
You can't avoid it. These niggas be talking about New York gang politics and be living in Florida somewhere. These niggas will be talking about shit that's going on or shit that they hear about or gang history or street history and be living somewhere in Rhode Island. But they got access to a camera, they got access to YouTube, they're on social media talking shit. They got a little traction on social media. They got some people's ears, so they take advantage of that.
But that's dangerous, though, is it not? That's real dangerous because if you get caught by the wrong person, bro, it's over.
It's over.
It's over, man.
It's over.
So what year do you get out of prison? Like 2015?
Mm-hmm.
And how old are you at this time?
2015. I was 31.
What is the first thing you do when you get out of prison?
I went to Denny's with my family.
You went to Denny's. What you order?
Went to Denny's. I ordered a sausage, egg, and cheese on some big ass toast, like wheat toast.
Oh man,
it's amazing.
So then after that, what you end up doing? You went hollering at some lady friends.
Well, I was with my baby mother at the time, you know what I mean?
Oh,
so
okay.
she was checking me from the door, like, nigga, I'm on you. You know what I'm saying? Like controlling the narrative, everything. So
was it a difficult transition assimilating back into society at that point? Because
I'm still transitioning.
right. But at that
I'm
time,
still
though,
transitioning.
you're obviously, you've been away. Technology has changed. Music has changed. So much has changed, right? Take us through, like, some of the challenges that you were experiencing at that time.
Buying sneakers. The sneakers I won cost like $400. Family only got enough for one that cost $180.
He was like,
I
yo,
don't
do I
want
need
the
to
ones
go?
that cost $180. I want this pair of Jordans that cost $350. Why the fuck I take you to pay? You know what I mean? But I wasn't working. You know, it wasn't up to me.
Right. But you were not used to like social media to the level that it is at that point, right? In 2015, everything was totally different. I mean,
I remember,
when you left, you were like, Facebook was out at that time, right? Was it Facebook?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a hefty transition, like technology, and I'm still learning it as I go. You know, I was on the block with a gun on me, with drugs in my pocket. I don't know nothing about technology. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. What do you think is the most difficult thing that was for you to get used to when you got out?
Wow. It was hard. I had to practice patience.
Mm.
I had to practice patience, and I have my expectations too high for people.
Did you feel that you had to unlearn some of your ways of doing things?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And I'm assuming that it wasn't like a steady, easy transition. Like there's like a lot of ups and downs, right?
I'm gonna be totally honest with you, bro. I had such full support from my family. I had a like strong support team, and I came home like almost immediately to a job. So, you know what I mean? I had an advantage, I would say.
You were blessed in a lot of ways that other
I
people
was
weren't.
blessed in a lot of ways, yeah. Yeah. My family, my mom, my sisters, my siblings, they were there for me like wholeheartedly. You know, my baby mother was there for me heavy. She already had an apartment ready for us for when I came home, you know?
Is there anything that you feel like you still struggle with today that, you know, from
my anger.
back then?
My anger.
So your anger is still something that you have a hard time with?
Yeah.
Just like quick tempered, or like when you get angry, you really get angry?
I feel like over time, like I've been able to like suppress like irrational behaviors. But like my temper, like I'm like my reaction time is like 0.5. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I still have to work on. You know?
Do you talk to yourself a lot? Like ask yourself to check in to be like, why am I so angry about this little thing? Or like, why did that upset me so much?
Nah, most of the time I like give myself like positive talk, like, yo, Danny, that was dope. You know what I'm saying? Like you curved that situation when it could have got out of hand. So I see the growth in you. You know what I'm saying? Like I like give myself like that positive, you know what I'm saying,
So
feedback. Like there.
Got you.
Normally you
So
would
you give yourself like a pep talk.
Head off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also I'm like, yo, my kids, they see everything I do. You know, they see everything that I do, so I'm hyper aware of my decision making because of that.
Mm-hmm. How do you think, what do you think is it that you struggle with? Is it just like this is who I am, this is how I normally would react, and if I don't react like this, then I'm less than? Or is it just more like, what is it about that, like, that it becomes difficult for you and not resulting in the same actions?
I used to feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I don't react like this, how are people going to perceive me? Now I don't give a fuck how anybody looks at me. You think what you want about me, bro.
Right.
That shit ain't contributing to my bills. I don't give a fuck what you think.
Mm-hmm.
That shit ain't contributing to my growth. I could care less.
And that's the growth right there.
Yeah.
That's the growth. That's beautiful, man.
Yep.
Can you talk about the life-changing moment where you realized you had to do things differently and be for the community instead?
This is a dope. I love talking about this because let me tell you something. Like, the guys that, you know, our nonprofit organization, Now for United, shout out to my whole team. Like, God, like, you have no idea, like, the satisfying work that we do. I feel like I've done so much destruction that I feel like it's like my civic duty to give back in this way. You know what I'm saying? Like, go to the youth and, you know, and let the youth know that this ideology that y'all have, that's not the way. There's other ways you could still be lit and still be that nigga by doing it like this. You know what I mean? Because I noticed, like, working with youth, kids from like 12 to like 14, 15, they're acting with a certain type of behavior that's more self-destructive than kids that are like 17, 18, and 19. And kids that are like 18, 19, and 20, they're realizing it. They're like, damn, back when I was 13, 14, I was bugging. Now I'm on the eve of adulthood, and I'm got to start paying bills. I got to start. Mommy's like, yo, you got to get out the house. So they got their mentality is shifting. So we want to catch that. We want to let them know early on, like, yo, 12, 13, when you hit 18, 19, you're going to be thinking differently. And when you hit 24, 25, you're going to be like, holy shit, I should have stood steadfast in what the OG was telling me. And thank God that I stood steadfast of the OG was telling me, because now I'm here. Now I'm up here. Versus if I would have continued the algorithm that I was on and not listening to the OGs, I could have been in a box, put somebody in a box, or in a real box in some prison in the federal and the state. So this is why the work that I do now with Now for United is so rewarding. Because I get to tell my story to these young kids. I was their age. They was never my age. They don't understand that they're going to be young very shortly and old for a long time. So the decisions that they make in their youth is going to affect them in their adulthood greatly.
Right. Man, that's an amazing thing that you're able to give back the way that you are now. And I think what's really beautiful is that you're not being fake. You're still being you. You're letting them know, like, this is what I've been through. It's real life shit. You know what I mean? Like, and they're accepting it more because you're somebody that's coming from the same neighborhood as them, going through similar things that they've been through, right? And they're going to be able to receive that much more than like a square or somebody that's never been. Just go to school, guys. You know, like it's different, right? It's real different.
Yeah. It's not a suit and tie coming into these facilities talking to them about something they never been through.
Right.
They're seeing themselves in the future.
Yeah. And then tell us about the MCRT program, right? And how you got connected with that, because that's really special.
I mean, I got introduced to the MCRT program through my brother, Jonathan Alvarez, who created Now for United, who is the co-founder of Now for United. So he's like, I need to get you ready for this, so you need to do this. Get me?
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, I need to put you here so that when I'm ready to take you from there and bring you here, you have the experience that it's going to take to deal with this.
And how has that been like being in that program?
It's been very rewarding, because a lot of stuff that I learned through MCRT, I take and I apply it to what we do at 914 United. MCRT is cool. I love what I do there, but my heart is with the kids, with the youth. You know what I mean? Like that's.
Can you tell the people what MCRT is though?
MCRT is Mobile Crisis Response Team. So we respond to people that are suffering from suicidal, homicidal ideations, domestic violence, substance and alcohol abuse, everything ranging from those particular subjects.
So more mental health issues.
Yeah, mental health issues, behavioral issues. We respond to these people. We have a 14-day window to connect them to resources and stuff like that.
And you're trained to respond to these certain circumstances that the police officers would not be trained to respond to.
Yes. I'm trained in de-escalation.
And in that way, you're able to save a life that they might end up taking a life.
1,000,000%.
That's crazy, man. Can you talk about any situations that has like really been dear to your heart?
With MCRT?
Yeah.
I can't talk too much about MCRT because everything is HIPAA laws. You know what I'm saying? Everything is protected by HIPAA. So I can't really talk about like instances with MCRT, but with 914 United, I could talk for days.
Okay. And this is something that you're doing 40 hours a week, every single week, right?
Yeah.
Like full-time job. This is everything that you're doing.
I'm busy around the clock, whether it's with MCRT or with 914 United, around the clock.
And do you feel like this has been so rewarding for you? Like it's like exactly what you were meant to do?
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, one of my dreams is, like, I always say, like, if I ever came up across a whole lot of money, like if I ever hit the lotto or something, I would create a full-time task force for missing and abused children.
Wow.
24-hour task force.
Yeah, bro. It's a very underserved area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that's like working with kids is my passion. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very rewarding for me. I have one of my mentees, Raymond, that's part of 914 United. You know, he was going through some struggles. He had an open case, and through 914 United and our constant support, he made it to the honor roll. He's made it to the honor roll 2 times, and he's got a job now. Kid is 14 years old.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, he's doing some good things, and that's just one situation amongst many others that I'm very grateful for. You know what I'm saying? That I was able to segue those milestones in that kid's life through our program, through 914 United.
Do you wish that this program existed when you were younger? Do you think that
Hell
would have
yeah.
been helpful for you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you think that you would have been receptive to somebody in your position now that it would have reached you?
Not sure. It would have reached somebody, though.
Right. Just having that opportunity. Just having that opportunity because, would have been something.
A lot of the kids we work with, they're gangbangers. You know what I'm saying? They're in the trenches. You know what I mean? And we like to call ourselves a boots on the ground organization, where we are in the trenches, going to these kids' houses, to where they live at, to their apartments and these projects and hot ass blocks, going into these houses and coming up with a plan of action for these kids to do better, or to try to get them to, you know, pivot and go a different direction in their lives before it comes to an end.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Would you say that most of the time you've been successful in the situations of reaching the kids, or like is there times where like they're just not ready to receive what you're trying to?
Yeah, that happens a lot. Like, you know how many kids I gotta be like, oh, I can't fuck with it no more. And then my man Jonathan, he'd be like, no, that's not how it works, Blaine.
Right.
you got to stay with this situation through the good, bad, and ugly. Because you know how much energy goes into each kid that we work with is unbelievable. Like, I didn't know this until I got into this kind of work. You know what I mean? It takes really a fucking whole community for every single child that we work with. Because, mind you, every case is unique. Some kids are high risk, some kids aren't. You know what I mean? Some kids are they just want a mentor, they want to get connected to programming and to workforce readiness and stuff like that. Some kids are all the way gangbanging, and we have to go pick them up on a different block and take them 20 minutes outside of the area that they're from just to have a safe conversation. And we're doing that.
But man, it's so amazing that you're given an opportunity to be able to have a job giving back to the community. Because a lot of times when people are released from prison, they're not really given that second chance at life to do something different. You know what I mean? And then they have to go back to some of the old habits and everything of trying to make it.
Yeah, and I see it happen all the time. I see it happen all the time, and it was great. It's funny is that I had this conversation with my brother Dom not too long ago. I was like, yo, I've been home 9 years, and it took me 9 years to really, like, be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Be to a point where I'm comfortable and happy with my situation. But you have to grind hard, man. You have to grind hard.
Mm-hmm. Talk to us about how you use graffiti as therapy. Is this something that you promote to others as well?
Oh, hell yeah. Like, I do graffiti therapy with some of these kids in placement facilities. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll come with markers and with little canvases, and I'll draw them. Yo, what you want? Yo, write my girl's name, and I'll write it for them and have them color it, do the whole background. They love it. They go to a different place with that. And that's the same. That's when I was in prison, that's what kept me, like, you know what I'm saying, at ease oftentimes, you know what I'm saying, especially to the end of my bid. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I used to put, like, if I was feeling, and all my feelings went into my pieces. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever, all my emotions, I pack it into my pieces. That's why, like, any artist would be like, yo, that's not his hand painting. That's his heart.
Right. And I saw that you were just in that book recently, right? They did like a whole section for you, man. Congratulations on that. Yeah, that's fire, bro. Yeah.
Thank you. Shout out to Volume 1.
How does that make you feel?
Amazing. You know, I grew up looking at these magazines with graffiti in them, and I wish that I could have a little, just a page. And that's what they gave me, just one page, and I was satisfied with that. It was amazing. Truly amazing.
But do you have, like, any aspirations to use graffiti in the future? Like, with, I don't know, something you want to do in the community or just something different?
Yeah, hell yeah. I've been talking about that with my director, with Jonathan Alvarez. Forget about it. We're gonna incorporate, like, my artwork into our program, into what we do. We just got to find the correct way to do it. So, but it's definitely gonna happen. Definitely gonna happen.
What about, like, on the side? Do people, like, hire you to do, like, pieces for them, like, like murals or anything like that?
Yeah, hell yeah. I get independent contracts all the time.
And then is it like more of a passion piece for you, or is it like really, like, financially good for you as well?
Nah, that's all work. That's all work. That's not like leisure time. That's not leisure. When I'm painting for leisure, I'm doing my name on the wall. I don't give a fuck who thinks what about. Like, this is what I want to do. What you hire me to do, that's a whole different thing. That's work. That's not leisure.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you. You said that you are almost, like, afraid of that person that you used to be. Right? Do you feel guilt in what you did because of the pain you felt, like, from being away? Or, like, well, do you feel any guilt in, like, kind of some of the stuff that you did in your life?
No.
So you just know that it was kind of the circumstances that you were in. and you were being who you had to be when you were in survival mode?
When you play a game, there's rules to the game. And if you don't know them rules, that's your problem.
So what do you mean then by when you said that you're afraid of that person that you used to be?
I'm not afraid of that person that I used to be. I'm just afraid of somebody triggering that side of me.
So you don't want to be that person again?
No. Like,
you don't want to react in that way again?
Right, because I'm not afraid of nobody. I'm afraid of what I'm capable of doing to somebody. And I've demonstrated that many times in the past. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a side to me, you know, especially with any street niggas, you know, that's trying to do better for themselves. They want to just do better for themselves and be left alone. Don't force me to become that person, because if you do, I'm gonna have to be all in. There's no half stepping with it. Right. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna make me go all in, and that could mean you in a box or me in a box or me doing the rest of my life in prison.
What do you find to be the most helpful thing to get you to calm down from that these days, though?
My kids. They watch everything I do. Well, my kids.
But do you do like any like meditation or anything like to try to like, you know, be more relaxed?
No, I'm just hyper aware of circumstances that I put myself in now.
Got you. Okay, so even
like if I know over there, whatever's happening over there is detrimental to my freedom or to my well-being, I'm not gonna go over there. You know, people are like, yo, they're having a black party over here. Yo, there's mad bitches, food, there's music. Okay, that might be true. But there's gang members, there's niggas with guns on them. There's niggas that's trying to make a name for themselves that are a lot younger than me. They see a nigga like me, they be like, oh shit, I can get my name up. Here's the easy way. Why? Because I'm no longer living that lifestyle. So if I put myself in these situations, I'm asking for trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking for trouble. So I'm hyper aware of this, so now I don't put myself in them circumstances. I don't put myself in places where I know that it's a possibility that I'm going to have to click, boom.
So prevention is always the best anyways. Don't even put yourself in that position.
Absolutely, no matter how enticing it is.
Right. As a kid, you said you suffered from power orientation, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is power orientation exactly?
Everything you do with aggression. Everything you do is you're forcing. It's forced. Everything is forced. With force.
Is that something that... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I suffer from entitlement and power orientation.
How did you come to find this about yourself?
In anger management.
Oh, so they identified that in you, and then they told you that this is something that they see?
Well, and when you do anger management in prison and the drug program in prison, people think the drug program is because you was on drugs. Nah, that's not true. The drug program is to point out certain inconsistencies in your behavior. And it breaks down why and what led up to you suffering from this kind of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Like what happened in your life that led to that? So me, let's go back to the beginning. Little white boy with glasses in the project. Constantly being picked on, constantly a target. I developed power orientation. I got to defend myself. The only way I know how
Right.
And I took that same behavior into my teenage years. And it worsened over time. It worsened.
And you still struggle with it today?
Yeah.
What do you find to be most helpful Just being hyper aware of yourself?
Yeah, and being around positive people. Being around positive people. My Uncle AZ, he changed his life. He's doing good. My brother Jonathan Alvarez, you know what I'm saying? My family, my immediate circle, which I can say is my safety net.
Were you one of the first Latin kings on the internet talking about being a Latin king?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I feel like that first Bandana Cappuccino video, what was that, like 2006 or something like that? It was early 2008 maybe. I don't know if there was any other videos like on the internet like that.
Nah, it wasn't.
Yeah, but you did like 2 separate interviews, right? And the first one you got some heat for. I remember the second one. I'm not gonna lie, you had that LRG black and gold jacket on with the hoodie. That shit was fresh. Yo, when was the last time that you watched those videos, man?
Oh, I can't even remember the last time I watched the videos, but I remember the first one we did. We had one of the little bros that was in school, and that was part of his project. Like, he came up to me one time, and he was like, yo, Blaine, let me interview you, bro, so I can show my classroom. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, they'll give me a good grade for that shit. I'm like, for real? He was like, yeah, let's do it in your apartment. Let's do it in your house. I'm like, all right, fuck it, let's do it.
How old were you at that time?
And he got an A for that shit. He got it, like 20 years old, maybe.
Wow.
I'm 40 now.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So how do you feel when you look back at that?
Sometimes I feel like I was very juvenile. My thought process was very immature, very juvenile, you know, very primitive. But I like looking at stuff like that because it exists. So I can remind myself how things was back then. My voice don't even sound the same. My demeanor, my body language, nothing. I was a very arrogant person.
Yeah, so it's like you get to see the growth, how different you are now.
Yeah. Right, it exists. Like, I could always go back to that, just type the name in and come right up.
Right. All right, Blaine. I just want to thank you for your time, bro. Is there anything you want to say to the people before we go ahead and wrap it up?
November 20th. Get your tickets. Go to 914united.org. Get your tickets for our second annual sneaker gala. And I want to shout out everybody on my team: Jonathan Alvarez, Dominic Polano, Freddie Medina, Kimberly Nieves, Diana, Janita, everybody on our team that makes this happen. Boss, Robert LeBron, Yaga, Tristan Foster, my whole team at 914 United. Yo, I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? Everybody go to 914united.org. The tickets are going to be up soon. Follow us at 914 United on Instagram. Get into our movement. Support us. Send a donation, $5, $10, or just simply repost one of our posts. You know what I mean? And and shout out to my family and my safety net, everybody that I fuck with on a daily basis, that I'm in tune with, that, you know, helping me grow as a person every day. So, you know, and my kids, for sure. Justin, Josiah, Damien, my heart right there.
Dope, man. Thanks again, bro.
And thanks for having me, Panda Chop.